My parents refused to fund my business and backed my cousin's hotel instead. My grandparents funded me. When my parents took credit, I called them out in my speech. I asked my parents for a $30,000 loan to start my business. They said no. 2 months later, they gave my cousin $45,000 to open a boutique hotel. When my grandparents funded me instead and my company took off, my parents started telling everyone at family events that they'd always believed in me. At my company's 5-year anniversary dinner, I corrected the record from the stage. The room went silent. I'm an engineer by training. I spent 6 years in aerospace before I came up with an idea for a modular housing company. Prefab units designed for speed and affordability. I ran the numbers, and I needed $30,000 to build the first prototype and secure a patent. I went to my parents first. My dad runs a successful plumbing company. Mom manages a medical office. They have money, not wealthy, but comfortable. I sat them down and presented the plan. Renderings, cost projections, market research, a 3-year timeline to profitability. Dad listened for about 10 minutes. Then he said, "This isn't realistic. Stick with your engineering job." Mom said, "We don't want to risk family money on something that might not work." I was disappointed, but I respected it. Then I found out about my cousin Andre. Andre wanted to convert a farmhouse into a boutique hotel. He had no hospitality experience, no business plan, just a vision and charm. My parents gave him $45,000. Mom told me at Thanksgiving. She said it casually, like it was nothing. "We're helping Andre with his hotel project. Isn't that exciting?" I said, "You turned me down 2 months ago." She blinked. "That was different." "How?" "Andre's project is more straightforward. He has no business plan. He has the property already. I have a patent application and 6 years of engineering experience." Dad jumped in. "We made our decision. Don't make this a competition." I didn't push it. I went to my grandparents. My grandfather built a small appliance repair business from nothing in 1962. He understood what it meant to start something with no safety net. I showed him the same presentation. He listened to every word. Then he looked at my grandmother and she nodded. He wrote me a check for $35,000. He said, "Build it. Pay me back when you can." I built the first prototype in 4 months. It worked. A regional developer saw it at a housing expo and ordered 12 units. Revenue hit $280,000 in year 1. By year 3, I had contracts in 3 states and 40 employees. By year 5, annual revenue was $4.2 million. Andre's hotel opened 8 months after mine launched. It closed 14 months later. He couldn't manage the staff. The renovations went over budget by $60,000. The reviews were terrible. My parents lost their $45,000. Nobody talked about it. But somewhere around year 2 of my company's growth, my parents started taking credit. It was subtle at first. Mom told her friends she'd always known I had potential. Dad told his business contacts that entrepreneurship ran in the family, and he'd encouraged me from the beginning. At a family barbecue, I overheard Mom tell my aunt, "We supported him from day 1. We always believed in his vision." I was standing 10 feet away holding a plate of corn. She saw me and didn't flinch. By year 4, it had become a full narrative. Dad told people at his Rotary Club that he'd backed my business. Mom told her coworkers she'd helped with the early funding. They never mentioned my grandparents, not once. My company's 5-year anniversary dinner was held at a venue downtown. 80 people, employees, partners, investors, and family. My grandparents were in the front row. My parents were at a table near the stage. I gave a speech. I talked about the company's growth. I thanked my team. I thanked the developers who took early risks on us. Then I said, "I want to acknowledge the people who made this possible from the very beginning." Mom straightened in her chair. Dad adjusted his tie. 5 years ago, I had an idea and no money. I asked my parents for a loan. They said no. They said it wasn't realistic. 2 months later, they funded my cousin's hotel for $45,000. That hotel closed in 14 months. The room was quiet. Mom's face went pale. Dad's hand froze on his glass. But my grandparents said yes. My grandfather wrote me a check for $35,000 and said, "Build it. Pay me back when you can." I did build it, and I paid him back in full within 18 months. I looked at my grandparents. "Grandpa, Grandma, this company exists because you believed in it when no one else would. Not my employer, not my bank, not my parents, you. And I need this room to know that because lately people who said no have been telling others they said yes." I didn't look at my parents when I said it. I didn't need to. Everyone in the room knew. My grandfather stood up. The room applauded. He was 84 years old and he waved his hand like he was embarrassed. Grandma was crying. Mom left before dessert. Dad followed her. They didn't say goodbye to anyone. My uncle told me later that Mom was furious. She said I humiliated them. Dad said I should have handled it privately. I said they took credit publicly. I corrected it publicly. That's not humiliation. That's accuracy. Andre texted me 2 days later. "Heard about the speech. For what it's worth, your business was always the better bet." I said, "Thanks, Andre. No hard feelings. There aren't. Andre tried something and it didn't work. That's fine. My problem was never with Andre. My problem was with 2 people who said no to me, yes to him, lost their money, and then told everyone they were behind my success the whole time." Grandpa's check is framed in my office, not the amount, the memo line. It says, "For the kid who builds things." That's the only credit that ever mattered.